The star of today's video is going to be this Toro Recycler 22 6.75 horsepower Kohler powered 149cc side discharge and rear discharge is set up as a mulcher self-propelled mower. And how I come upon this one, I'll tell you the story. I'll get you in the tripod so I don't make you all sick. So the story on this one was somebody called me within the neighborhood here and said, hey, can you come over and look at my mower? And I could see that the air box is broken clean off, and we have some carburetor linkage is broken. The hole, that's the auto choke. This has one of those thermostatic chokes, and I see a spring kind of hang in there. I'll get a close-up of that in a while. Other things I notice is this thing has two holes it could be in, and I think it's in the wrong hole, and somebody has disconnected this for some reason. Possibly Johnny Fix-It was trying to fix it before I got there. But anyway, I gave her a quote to fix it with the air box, the carburetor, and just a general checkup, and it was more than she was hoping to put in because she was planning on going with an electric one anyway. So this was just a perfect excuse for her to get out of the gas, so that's what she wanted to do. Now this gives me an opportunity because I have a neighbor at a different property that needs a mower. And what a wonderful gift this will make if just replacing the air box and cheap Chinese knockoff carburetor would fix this mower to be working again. They would have a nice 22 self-propel, hopefully good running mower. So let's hope when we get just this stuff fixed and maybe get the handle put together that everything's good. I don't know because I don't know if the cable, let's see, is this one the self-propel that's off, or is this the, no, that's the engine kill. So that must have just happened. Supposedly she ran it under a tree and this happened. I don't think that's true. Well, I can't say, I wasn't there, but to break that all the way down like that, and then this is bent, that spring is bent, and to have the handle out of position, I believe maybe a car ran into it or something, because it seems like more than just a little bump would have been needed to get this, which is spring loaded, into a pocket over here. I'll show you all that close up in a little bit once we get to it. It would take a lot to get that to jump and this to come out, and more than a tree. So let's hope the handle can just be put back together how it was. I can rebend that part with the governor spring, get this engine speed proper, put Chinese parts to replace that, and I'm gonna have a wonderful gift from my neighbor. And just anybody's interested in my exact model number, 20371. And don't assume the parts fit unless you also look it up by serial number, because a lot of times there's serial number breaks in the production runs and different parts will fit different models. So if you have one that looks like this, don't assume the parts I'm using are going to fit yours, because they do make changes and oftentimes they are improvements over the previous parts. So you'd want to get the proper part number, the newest part number. So if there were any production issues, you're not buying more problems, you're buying the replacement fix. So just FYI, don't do what I do. Always look up your parts for you. And so we have an average, pretty used up filter. We have the door, which could be reused, but the part that's broken is this part here. And I'll show you that more when we get it off, but that's pretty typical what you find on a used mower. So it's just average condition. This thing looks to be garage kept. She was taking good care of it until whatever happened. Let's assume it's metric, I believe 10 millimeter. And so there's the one part that's broken, already off, and we just take our air PCV, positive crankcase ventilation breather, off of that, And I know that part was laying on the ground. I probably lost that bringing it home. Here is a vent for the gas tank. And as you can see, that's all broken out of there. Could you have glued it? Sure. But the cheap Chinese parts are so cheap, it's barely worth trying to rig stuff anymore. Because a glued original one is probably just as good as a Chinese one. Hate to say it. This only needs replacement, the carburetor, because of this end broke off here. If you happen to have another carb with that exact one, you could have probably just changed that shaft out, pull the blade out. This comes up. You have to figure out how to get these little clips off. Anyway, we're just changing the whole carburetor. Again, we're using the minimum aftermarket replacement parts. And this fuel line says 2014, if you were wondering what generation this is. So at the time of filming, this is 11 years old. So it's really not that old for a mower. I mean, you don't put a lot of hours on mowers generally. Quarter-inch screwdriver, or a number 2 screwdriver, usually fits in a quarter-inch line. FYI. Life hack. And I actually believe that gasket is... I'll show you something in a minute here. I'll get you zoomed in. Okay, so we have our little anti-vibration spring that goes on there. And then the other one just slides off. We have our carburetor. Now we got a good spare bowl and, you know, some other stuff. I don't throw them away. I'll show you what's interesting here. Look at the way that gasket is and the way the intake port is. It's not open the whole way. Is this mismanufactured? I'm wondering. Or is it just really supposed to be oblong like that? Look at that. Look at that. No, it's supposed to be like that. I've never seen that. They've got it neck down. It looks like it's mismanufactured, like it should be the whole circle of the gasket cut out. But no, it is supposed to be like that. Weird. All right, let me put that back on. I thought that plastic was supposed to be cut out right there, because you could see like the circle of the gasket when you put this on. See how it's you're blocking off some of your flow. Some of the old racing guys would drive them nuts. They'd have to port that and polish it. Okay, I got my box of Chinese replacement carburetor parts here. Comes with a new gasket. Looks like this gasket is quite oversized to fit who knows how many different engines. And actually, it's very supple. It's actually a good gasket. Although, guess what? We're going to reuse the old one. Now, the kit I've got comes with a fuel filter, which this doesn't even have a fuel filter. An air filter. How about that? Pretty good. It comes with all new fuel line. We're just going to use the original. That seems to be working fine. I'd rather have an original line than a cheap Chinese line when you're talking about fuel, but now we can see this is just the part that broke off the other one, just this very end, but it renders the carburetor unusable. So it's got a special thing there. So when it goes to rev, it'll open the throttle a little bit. Interesting. Or it'll open the choke a little bit. So it's kind of interesting in its own way. Not much to be done here. You should always use a new gasket. I'm not, because I'm stubborn. Okay, I said it. Put that guy in there. Hook your anti-vibration spring on. Now here's the one I don't know how to put on because I didn't take it off. I'm assuming it doesn't seem very long, so I can't hook it up now. I'm assuming we're going to have to bend that a little to get that down in there. It may be bent, so we may have to do some bending. It may have gotten bent when it got broken off. I don't think it would have. But now I've got to be careful not to snap that same end off, or else I'm going to be in for another carburetor purchase here real quick. I'm just seeing how this wants to lay. It almost seems like it wants to be sideways, but it really has to be like that. Yeah. So I'm going to bend that, flex that back. There it goes. That's how it's supposed to be right there. Cool. Let's see if our Chinese replica carb has a proper size fuel fitting. Hopefully it does. Replica carb. I'm going to coin that word. You heard it here first. Okay. Now the filter kit I got is again, gasket, good. Came with another filter, which this filter seems even nicer. So I'm going to give the guy that one, and our box that we don't have to glue and worry about, is it going to suck in air through the faulty glue job. So let's go here. We're putting our fuel tank vent on. I'm going to put it over the holes. Here's our PCV going back on. Oh, sorry. Should always put the gasket. And let me see which way this gasket really should go. There's two holes here, and I'm trying to see there. Let me get you a shot there in case you're confused on yours. Mine just happened to go on. There's two holes in the carb, and this one goes around them. Keeps those open and clear. All right. Now we put this on. That gasket just prevents you from sucking dirt in between the housing. It probably would never really happen, but they give you all that stuff because they have to warranty it. Get this little filter. Yeah, this seems way better than that orange one. It's actually a good filter. It's well gasketed. Nice multi-rib, or what do you call those? Pleated. Multi-pleated. All right. There we are. We're back to pre-damage condition on that part of the machine. Let's keep going. Okay, while you're down here with me, what I see is this spring is mangled and has been re-put through the hole by someone. And this part here is bent way down from, what would be probably a 90 degrees from factory. And what this does, this is your governor assembly. This regulates the speed. So this spring tension, more tension, less tension, moves. This is your governor inside your engine. However fast, if the engine starts speeding up too much, it goes one way, closes the throttle. If the engine starts going too slow, opens the throttle. And how much spring tension you have on this tells how much speed you're going to have. So we may have to adjust this. I'm not going to adjust it right now because they may have figured out right where it should be, but we're going to make sure it's running about the proper speed, which on most of these, it's going to be, usually most small engines, 3,600 max. They run them maybe 3,400 or whatever. If you want really good mulching action, crank it up to 3,600. But no more than that. They really aren't rated for more than that. That's a general term. I don't know on this specific engine, but general term. 3600 is your number, your max. You can go less because this doesn't have a throttle cable up at the operator station. This is what dictates, it's just one speed. And the reason you need a governor, if you don't know, if you get going through high grass, it'll automatically give it more throttle for you. And if you get out of grass or whatever, it just regulates the speed. It'll just keep it right where it needs to be, automatic, without you doing anything. Pretty smart little design. They started governors in the very earliest days, and it works off of very similar principles of flying weights. Weights fly out and create the action. It's brilliant simplicity. Anyway, we will adjust the engine speed once we get the handle fixed up. We'll be able to start the engine because this here is an engine brake assembly. When you pull the handle, this takes the brake off the flywheel. There's a brake that, as this flywheel inside is spinning, there's a brake that goes on it, and usually there's an electrical connection also that shuts off. I don't know if this has both. The electrical connection shuts off, this kills the spark. So when you let go, it kills. Pretty basic. But I have to get that working on the handle, and then we'll worry about engine speed. Let's go. Got you zoomed in there in the handle assembly. So there's a couple things I see here. This side has electrical tape, a piece of copper pipe. Did they break the handle at one time? I wonder if they broke the handle. Anyway, it's in a hole there. Okay, I've got two handles here. This one, this is a self-propel, the little one on the bottom. The one on the top is the engine kill. Okay, so let's get over here. And I think this is supposed to be down there. Yes, now this lines up. So that's proper there. But then how did this get out of its home? Usually those don't really let go by themselves. Oh, because it's half broken right there. Okay, so here's something I wasn't expecting. Now I know how that slipped out of there. Let me get you a crazy close up here so you can see what I'm seeing. And focus. Maybe. That's still not focused just right. If I put my hand behind it, can you see that crack in there? Yeah. So that crack is going to make this flex and slide through its hole. I might have a chance, this is either zinc or aluminum. I might have a chance to remelt that if I was real careful. The real fix is going to be a new cable, but for a giveaway, I don't want to put that kind of money in it. That's disappointing because that has to be good. Oops. I got you zoomed into my toolbox. This part has to be good because if that slips out, the engine will just automatically kill. So the obvious thing would be just somehow wrap this with something to keep it from slipping out. That would be the obvious fix because it doesn't want to fall out, but it will pull through if it gets a chance. Let's see what I'm going to do to fix that. This part, I am just going to tape that so it stays right there. It doesn't need to rotate at all. I'm just going to tape it so it holds it right where it needs to be. And like I say, the only proper fix would be to get a new cable, but because it's a giveaway, if they want to go fix this more, they can do it. But the way I'm going to give it to them is just some mower is better than nothing. They can't afford a real mower right now, so we're going to try to help them out, but we're not going to gift them the world. Just any mower is better than what they have. What they have is a broken mower, and it's not even self-propelled, and it wasn't worth fixing. I kind of took a look when I was over there one time. It was basically not worth fixing. So as you can see, that works fine. All it has to do is that. So we're good. I mean, to get a more permanent fix, I could put like a band clamp, one of those worm drive hose clamps around there to hold it tighter. But that's where we're going to go with it. I am not going to worry about this because I have a feeling they once broke that, and this is a sleeve. They found a copper pipe is the right size, and they repaired it. So again, we're not going to make a new one out of an old one here, but I think we're going to be okay. We got what we need. This is the kill, and this is the self-propel. Now, let's see if the engine functions. You don't know what you're getting on a giveaway. And we're quite low. So I will add a little bit of oil to that before we even try. Well, it's so clean you can hardly tell, but we're at the top of the line now. And most of those you can check them without taking the stick and threading it all the way in. They're made to be checked by just dipping it like I just did. Fuel, I think we had some because I saw some come out when I took the line off. Bonus, free fuel. You don't get that every day. All right. This one has the auto choke, so it should be in choke. They have a choke attached to the muffler. Oh, yeah. Whoa, something under there. Oh, that's falling off. Big chunk. See if the propel works. Yeah. Okay, starts beautifully. One pull on a machine that's been sitting for a couple of weeks before I get to it here. Okay, I think this machine's in great shape. We'll check the blade and maybe give that a sharpen before we give it away. And by the way, if I didn't already state it, the engine speed sounded fine, so I will leave their rigged up governor spring just how it is. That sounds at an appropriate speed. I could maybe go a little faster, but just to help the mulching action a little bit, but no big deal. Now what I'm going to do is tilt it to the side and probably sharpen the blade. So just for people that don't know, so this is a positive crankcase ventilation. That means that oil, if we tip it this way, all that oil from the bottom of the crankcase is going to try to get out that tube if we tip it hard enough. And then it's going to come down the tube and contaminate our brand new air filter and ruin it because it'll become too hard to flow air through if it's full of oil. We don't want to do that. And we don't want to waste our oil and spill oil. And also we don't want to clog the engine with oil to make it hard to start. So we are going to tip it this way. And what that also does, now look at where the gas cap is on the top of the engine. If you didn't have the situation, so you always do that for the oil reason, you always tip it away from the carburetor. But if you didn't, what you can do, take this off, put a plastic bag there. Now put that on top of the plastic, sandwich this plastic bag in there, and it'll kind of create a seal in there, which is good enough for most purposes. This also does have the tank vent, so be aware some of these are vented tanks, so it may not work perfectly, but it will at least slow it down to the minimum possible. So let's go do the blade, then we'll check that spark plug, clean that up before we let her go. Whoa, you see that, ladies and gentlemen? That is one dirty. Look at, we got weeds wrapped around the drive shaft for the self-propel. We got, that's what we heard come off when I started it. just this nasty, wet, rotting the deck out every second it sits on there. Just nasty. We're going to take the blade out, then we're going to clean the deck and put it all back together. Anytime you're spinning your thing, you should have the ignition kill. You should also pull the spark plug wire. But what I'm going to check for is do I believe this blade to be bent? So I'm going to put my finger up here. I'm going to hold my thumbnail about where that blade is. I'm going to turn it slowly so it doesn't try to fire, even if it could. And look at that. It lines up almost perfectly with my fingernail. That's just a quick general check to make sure you don't have a bent blade. Get some of this spun on grass off of there so I can actually get on the nut first. I'm going to need the bigger impact. Bigger impact. That makes them so much easier than trying to put a wood block or something. And they have a little tool you can attach to your blade, and then you could try to go with the regular ratchet. But boy, if you have any kind of an impact available to you, you could see how quickly it just zips them off, whereas that would have been quite a struggle, possibly even needing a breaker bar. So now that the blade's out of the way, it's easier to clean this. I'll do that, and I'll bring you back. All right, got you back here with me. We took off several pounds of grass and rotting nastiness, which was just wet as can be, and rotting out the mower from rust. Got the mower blade sharpened, of course. A little more cleaning to do. Underneath that cover, I could see there's a lot of stuff packed up under there, and no good will come of it. Got it back up on its edge again. I see one screw that holds that plastic on. Feels like maybe there's another one. Yeah, there's got to be another one up in here somewhere. Can't find it. I have to pause you and bring it back. Found it. It's up there. It's not in the triangle portion. It's alongside the rail there. There we go. Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there. Yep, that's about what it felt like. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get it from below. Oh yeah, it's just rotten, nasty, wet, smelly. I think that belt will move a lot happier without all that. Back you go. I've literally got this whole pile from a push mower. Well, not that. Can you see all that? That is amazing. From a 22-inch wide deck. Got that panel back down, screwed in. And now let's see what the spark plug looks like. Is it the small plug? That's a rarity. Let me get my extension on there because that's in there a ways. Is it loose? Is it the wrong size? Is it what's going on here? It's not that size. It's not 13/16. 5/8 would be my normal choice. Is it loose in there and it is 5? No, it's not 5/8 either. Okay, I'll be back. It's a little brown, but it's been burning pretty reasonably good. I'm just going to clean it a little bit. That's probably the original plug the engine ever came with. It's a Kohler branded plug. It's not NGK. It's not anything else. And what size it is? I've got an 18 millimeter spark plug socket that I had to take the insulator out of to get it in there. I got this Craftsman set. It is not the usual 5/8. It is not the usual 15/16. It's so long, these insulators, at least in these Craftsman sockets, don't fit over it. It won't go in far enough. It might be the 3/4, but the 18, I was able to get this out the easiest, so I don't understand how you would ever, you'd have to cut that hole open to get that to fit. If this was in the socket, whatever. Anyway, let's clean this up, put it back in. I just scrape it a little bit, the electrode, scrape that a little bit, just get a good connection again. That is a strange plug, Kohler. Can you knock that off? Can you not do that anymore, please? Why does your plug have to be different than everyone else's on the market? First time I ever needed it. This is Craftsman number 934504. Comes with 4 sizes, which are 5/8, 13/16, 3/4, 18 millimeter. Good quality set, lifetime guarantee. Not available through any affiliate link I have, but that's what I used to rescue me this time, and it got me out of a jam. I've literally never used it before. Now, last things last. So we're in the second position. Now, last things last. So we're in the second position. That's the highest. We're in the second down. I'm just going to put them all in the middle. That way the new owner can choose to put it wherever they want it, but it'll generally be set for most lawns. And then we're also just ensuring that it's level side to side in general, because they don't always come that way. So we're actually going down a little bit from where it was. We'll just check the function on everything again. So if I wouldn't have taken this free mower broken as is, it'd have been alongside the road and you may have found it. Let's see how we did. And that's how we take that former scrap, turn it into something useful, and better yet, we make it Wildwood certified. Thanks for watching, and we'll pay this one forward to my neighbor John.